Hello, thank you for joining us on CoreTV News at 4. I am Frank Omalape, and here are some of the stories we're filing at this time. As the crisis in the Enugu State House of Assembly continues with threats of impeachment hanging on the neck of the state governor, Sullivan Chime, members of the People's Democratic Party have taken to the streets of Enugu to protest the move. The members who took to the street in their numbers chanted solidarity songs against what they described as an unnecessary crisis. Despite the heavy police barricade in front of the House of Assembly, some of the protesters spoke to CoreTV News on what they described as an unnecessary crisis at the tail end of the administration.
To demonstrate our love, our support, our loyalty to our able governor, Sullivan Chime, whom we should be celebrating by now for the good work he has done in Enugu State, for the good work he has been doing in Enugu State. This is not the way we should stand him up. This is a man that has done so much in Enugu State that is worthy to celebrate. We shall resist any attempt.
In Enugu State, good luck Jonathan contested in Abuja and he lost his own. He did not start making problems in the whole Nigeria. I see no reason if you contest election and you did not win, you have to go back to your house and not to come to Enugu State and cause problem. We don't have problem here.
So
okay? And we welcome our new speaker, which is Chinedu Wamba, and Chinedu Wamba, Enugu State stands up.
And now the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed May 21 for hearing in the suit filed by the 7 Ekiti state legislators elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party seeking to stop the impeachment move against Governor Ayofayoshi and his deputy, Kolakpo Olushola. At a resumed hearing of the suit, plaintiff counsel Ahmed Raji informed the court that the defendant had not filed any application as ordered by court to show cause why the reliefs the suit should not be granted. He also urged the court to set aside all the actions of the APC lawmakers. But counsel to the defendant, Terence Wembe, challenged the jurisdiction of the court to hear the matter. A trial judge Justice Evo Chiku, however, ordered the defendant to file their submission in writing and adjourned to May 21.
The suit as constituted, it has jurisdiction over it, and is ordered addresses by all the counsel, and then it's given us a time frame. But meanwhile, the status quo remains, that nobody should do anything, and he admonished all the sides to maintain peace so that there will be no breakdown of law and order in Ekiti State. That is as a follow-up to his earlier order, which he made at the last adjourned date, that the status quo should be maintained.
We were supposed to be here and show cause why other suit expertise should not be made against the defendants. In the first place, the whole writ issued is irregular on the face of it. As at the time the writ was issued, the leave of court was not sought and obtained as required by law. And under that circumstance, we are allowed to appear before the court and let the court know that the court does not have jurisdiction to do it. That is just what we did. But the court was a little bit under the weather. The judge is just recuperating. And counsel to the plaintiffs also sought more time to be able to respond to our motion. So we'll come back on the 21st after filing everything and adopt.
And now one of the first major actions to be taken by President-elect Muhammadu Buhari, an assumption of office in a massive shake-up of the military. Sources say there will be a massive retirement of senior officers who are believed to have corruptly enriched themselves or will abandon professionalism for politics. Already, a small group has been set up quietly to work out the modalities for the shake-up and scout possible replacements for those to be weathered out. Most likely to be affected are officers who allegedly mismanaged funds meant for military operations, those who colluded with crude oil thieves, and those who will engage in political activities in breach of their professional duties. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo, in his congratulatory letter to Buhari after the March 28 election, had urged the president-elect to reform the military, saying so much harm had been done to many national institutions, including the military, which proudly nurtured you and me. Obasanjo, on assuming office in 1999, retired all officers who had held political appointments, an action thought to have helped prevent a possible coup after several military interventions in the nation's history. And now the General Overseer of Glory Restoration Church Ministry International, Ephraim Ifiono, has warned the President-elect Muhammadu Buhari to be wary of false prophets and prophecies in order not to be misled. Ifiono also urged Buhari to dedicate himself to God and sound leadership qualities that would distinguish him. He gave the advice in Lagos during the inauguration of the Akesan Worship Center of the church. The cleric said the first thing that would make leaders succeed was dedication to God. Ifiono also urged other ministers of God in the country to refrain from and not allow the pursuit of material wealth influence them into giving false prophecies. And as Nigeria gets set for the inauguration of the President-elect Muhammadu Buhari, Lagos State Governor Babátúndé Fáṣọlá says law and order will play a critical role in the process of changing the nation for the better. Fáṣọlá emphasized this at the opening ceremony of 32nd Synod, the Anglican Communion in Lagos. First, his part, the Diocese Bishop of Lagos, Adebola Ademowo, expressed optimism that the incoming Buhari administration would take Nigeria out of the woods. A correspondent, Abiola Aluwole's report is presented from our studios. Less than a month to the inauguration of President-elect Muhammadu Buhari, Nigerians across party divide have been speaking on their expectation from the incoming administration. Though the gathering is religious in nomenclature, there was also a platform to speak on the ingredients needed for the progress of the country. According to Governor Fáṣọlá, for Nigeria to move up the ladder in the Committee of Nations, premium must be placed on the enforcement of the rule of law.
For me, law and order is not just police and security agencies. It requires all of us to show leadership in the place where we are leaders, in our homes, in our churches, in our mosques.
While expressing optimism about the future of Nigeria, the Diocesan Bishop of Lagos, Adebola Ademowo, called on citizens to pray for Buhari administration in order to achieve desired change for the country.
Buhari is going to take us out of the woods. All this Boko Haram thing and poverty all over the place, unemployment, security, wahala. The man is up to the task.
As the clock ticks on the swearing-in of the Buhari-Osinbajo administration, the expectations of Nigerians, according to political watchers, is the fulfillment of the electioneering promises. Now, the Kaduna State All Progressive Congress Transition Committee on Monday warned those it described as impersonators to henceforth disease from such at or risk prosecution. Chairman of the committee, Balarabe Balawa, was quoted in a statement by Samuel Arowa, the spokesman for the governor-elect Nasir El-Rufai, that some elements were allegedly defrauding the public using the committee as a launch pad. He, however, quoted to have warned that anyone found impersonating committee members or carrying out any illegal act in the name of the transition committee will be handed over to the police for prosecution. And now the Abia State Governor Relato Keze Ikpeazu has placed temporary ban on court visit by his supporters. He said the ban will enable him to plan adequately for the talks ahead. Ikpeazu, in a press statement personally signed by him, thanked Abia residents for voting him into power, but pleaded with those jostling to pay him courtesy visit to give some breathing space so he could prepare for the job he was elected to do. It is reported that Ikpeazu's country home at Umuobiakwa in Obingwa has become a mecca of sorts since after the governorship election, as individuals and groups continue to pay visits to the governor-elect. Various entertainment groups and dancing troupes have also been having a few days with free feeding, a daily routine for our visitors. And now a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party and senator-elect for Ogun East Senatorial District, Buruji Kashamu, has dragged the chairman, National Drug Laws Enforcement Agency, and 11 others to court over an alleged plot to extradite him to the United States of America to face trial on alleged drug-related offenses. He alleged that the plot was a further move in the political designs of former President Olusegun Obasanjo to ensure that he was denied the opportunity of enjoying the mandate freely given to him to represent the people of Ogun East Senatorial District in the Senate. Kashamu, who instituted a fundamental right enforcement action before a federal high court in Lagos, is seeking a declaration that the move to abduct and forcibly transport him to the United States of America amount to a violation of his right to liberty, freedom of association, and freedom of movement as protected by Section 35 and 40 and 41 of the Constitution. Kashamu further alleged that he had uncovered plans by Obasanjo to mastermind his arrest during his swearing-in as a senator and to transport him to the U.S. in a private plane to face trial before Judge Naj. Away from that now, the Nigerian Union of Journalists has reminded government and non-governmental organizations of the need to respect freedom of the press. NUJ President Mohammed Garba said this at the commemoration of the 2015 World Press Freedom Day in Kaduna. Our correspondent Ahmed Anebi has pointed this report from our studios.
May 3rd is usually a day set aside to celebrate World Press Freedom annually. But the Nigeria Union of Journalists is marking this year on May 4 and is keen to tasking journalists, especially women, to brace up for new challenges in our digital world. NUJ President Mohammed Garba also reminded the government and non-governmental organizations and the civil society of the importance of a free press. He also spoke on free and independent journalism as well as quality reporting in the digital age.
The main objective of the World Press Freedom Day is to remind governmental and non-governmental organizations and the civil society of the vital role of the liberty of freedom of expression.
Kaduna State Governor Ramalan Yero was represented at the event by the Commissioner of Information, Ben Bako. He wants the media to be more professional in their reportage.
A moment for reflection on the virtues of this noble profession, the sufferings, the sacrifices, as well as the challenges of freedom that the journalism profession has been faced with right from time.
Other journalists also spoke on the various perspectives of the industry. The managing director of the Kaduna State Media Corporation, Tamani Yusuf, preferred to focus on digital broadcasting in Nigeria.
We need to ensure that we get digital studios. We have to get the equipment, the facilities, and the training for our staff to ensure that they are not left behind.
Highlights of the day include paper presentation from 2 bodies and pen paraded led by the National Secretary of the Nigeria Union of Journalists.
Also, the Nigerian Union of Journalists also organized a one-day career talks with selected schools in Kaduna. The event, which has the theme "Let Journalism Thrive Towards Better Reporting, Gender Equality and Media Safety in Digital Agents," designed to encourage the students to see the profession as a worthwhile one. Our correspondent Amina Nibi has more.
The career talk was spearheaded by the NUJ President, Mohammed Garba. He wants the students to take the profession as a thing of joy. The NUJ President used the occasion of the 2015 World Press Freedom Day celebration to stress the importance of journalism.
We have interacted with quite a number of my colleagues. The journalism profession is a noble profession. If you are going to read journalism at either polytechnics or in universities, you need to read very hard. You have had the subjects that will qualify you to be a journalist. And a journalist, as you are aware, She's always on research. He reads constantly to ensure that he updates his knowledge about what is happening in society.
Speaking on the importance of this year's theme, representative of UNESCO, Julie Osage Jacobs, touched on the topic, Speak Out, Speak.
They should indeed allow journalism to thrive. They should not get weary. They should be encouraged that where they are practicing, the environments in which they practice journalism will get better by the day.
Having listened to the career talk, some of the students are already looking forward to the future as professional journalists.
They had a career talk here, and then they advised us about journalism, and then they gave us some key aspects of journalism.
I love watching news and reading magazines, etc. So I just want to one day wake up and find out that I'm in front of cameras, etc., like videotaping me and talking about reports.
The students who showed interest in being journalists were, however, advised to concentrate on being good at the job and making a name for themselves.
You're still watching CoreTV at 4. Well, after the break, the UN ranked Nigeria 171 out of 179 in the best place to be a mother. We'll bring you details after this timeout. Stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
This is CoreTV News at 4 live from our Lagos studios. For more information, you can also like our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. And for live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV News Space, the news. And now Save the Children, the UN body that tripolate mother-child survivor, says Nigeria ranks 171 amongst best places or safest to have a child. Save the Children CEO Caroline Mai said the data confirmed that a country's economic wealth is not a sole factor leading to happy mothers, but that policies need to be put in place. In this instance, Norway ranked as the world's best place to be a mother, well ahead of the United States, which dropped to 33 spots in the annual scorecard released by UN body. However, Somalia is the worst place, just below the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Central African Republic. Save the Children released a 16th annual Mothers Index, which raised 179 countries based on 5 indicators related to maternal health, education, income levels, and the status of women. Among the top 10, Australia is the only non-European country at number 9, while France and Britain take the 23rd and 24th spots below Canada at number 20. Cities in Bangladesh, Cambodia, Ghana, India, Kenya, Madagascar, Nigeria, Peru, Rwanda, Vietnam, and Zimbabwe have the highest gap for child survivor, with poor children 3 to 5 times more likely to die than their affluent peers. Well, joining us to discuss now, I have with us live in the studio Dr. Dukun Adedeji, is a primary health care practitioner. Thank you for joining us live on CoreTV News at 4.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Now, how did you receive this news, having Nigeria to rank 171 out of 179? Is it shocking to you?
In a way, it is shocking, but again, I think it just speaks to the fact that a lot of work needs to be done to rank us better than where we are. And some work has started. but we still need to do a lot more. I don't think it's deserving or inspiring for Nigeria to be in that position at all.
But is it possible that this statistic are just to create a negative perception about Nigeria, or why is Africa always finding themselves in such a bad situation?
No, look, I will not subscribe to the fact that we should look at this in indices like this, or else it's going to leave us in the same place and not do anything about it. We should not be negative about it at all. That is the real factor. Okay. The people said this is the 16th time it's going to be done, so it's not new. So we must know that we just got to do. I mean, if you look at the same thing as you synchronizing with what is happening with the migrants moving in Europe in the boats across the Mediterranean Sea, you see it's about the same thing. So it speaks to the state of our health practice or health sector and political space as well. So I think Africa or sub-Saharan countries, particularly those affected by such indices, should do something. It's just a call to service.
But do you think we have an excuse or any excuse being in the worst places to be a mother?
No, really, we don't have an excuse. I must tell you, it speaks to ignorance, it speaks to nonchalance, it speaks to the fact that there's no political will to do many of the things that the other countries do. If we get up a box and then begin to do things that are proper. I mean, Nigeria has a population of about 170 million people. You can count the number of hospitals that Nigeria has. Not only just having built an infrastructure, you must have the supporting infrastructure as well. Where's the human resource? Where are the materials? I mean, to practice in Nigeria today is like being sentenced to work in a penitentiary. There's nothing to work with. So the nation has to take the government has to take its responsibility and do something to cater to the welfare of the people.
Well, in your own experience, how do you think we can reduce the rate of maternal rate here, and even to reduce some of the infant mortality rate over here?
I think we can. A lot of work has started, but it's not much. If you look at infant mortality, he dropped from about 100 to 75. In 2003, it was about 100. We now come to 75. The child mortality under 5 has also dropped from about 201 to 175. And then if you look at maternal mortality, in 2003 it was about 800 per 100,000 live births, but now we come to about 545 or thereabout. So that is by 2008. Nobody has statistics, or I don't have any experience of statistics between 2008 and now. It means that if certain things are done, I know the government set up the Sure P, and one of the vehicles of achieving this was the Sure P maternal and child health, which I have a bit of experience with because I'm involved a bit in that. Is that some work has been done. In contemplation of the government is to build more maternity centers in the rural areas, and so that people can have access to healthcare. If we do that, and then we're serious with it, and we provide the wherewithal, that is in terms of not only infrastructure, physical infrastructure, but in terms of human resources and drugs, because there's no point. And also, all this, if you look at MDG, there are about 8 of them, and 3 in particular, MDG 4, 5, and 6, speak to these areas. And if those things, 2015 is supposed to be a year of assessment in which to say, look, how far have we gone? I can tell you that apart from Lagos State in Nigeria, there's no other state that has attained any level of responsibility in terms of MDGs. We can do something. If we walk in those directions, yes, we can.
But where is the place of the private sector and the place of government in all of these, talking about improving our healthcare sector, looking at your experience over the years?
You see, to be honest with you, this is basically governmental in the sense that they provide. The private sector, the only way they can help in some of the materials that they can donate, they can give Medicaid drugs and all that, and then help in provision, but it's not their duty per se. It is the responsibility of government to provide the conducive environment and also to provide the infrastructure and also to support the infrastructure with materials that are required. The private sector can help in some areas, like in the eradication of malaria, to reduce the incidence. They are providing insecticide through their nets, and then they can also help in terms of environmental situations. But there's not much of direct involvement of private sector in this, except there's a partnership and then the government says you can help us with this, like in HIV/AIDS. Yes, those
Okay,
kind of.
Dr. Dukun, just before you go, do you think that this is really a clarion call for our government, especially the incoming government, because a lot of people are looking up to see that a lot of challenges in the healthcare sector, not only in the healthcare sector, but in other sectors of the economy now, say something that might be a very big tax ahead of the incoming government. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh yes, I see that. And if you look at the manifesto of APC, for instance, the incoming government, you see there's an attempt to deal with this, but it has to be a concerted attempt. And you see, one thing that's always been lacking in this country is most ministries are too insular in the way they approach some of this. Ministry of Health just goes like that, and you see there has to be some working together, some symbiotic relationship, in the sense that when you want to do this, there's an interface with physical infrastructure, with water resources, with telecommunication. And if all those things are not harnessed and brought to work together, we always be working in similarity, and then you never get results. But I do know that this is a clarion call for the incoming government, because we can't afford for our women to be it's just abominable for women to be dying in childbirth. It's unheard of. In the Western world, for the developed world, you have 0 to 2 women dying in childbirth. But in Nigeria, you read about it every day. It's
quite high.
It's quite high. Right now, at least as 2008 statistics, it's about 545 women deaths in 100,000 live births. That is almost criminal. And we can do a lot, and I know the government will try and do a lot about it.
Well, I will have to let you go now. Thank you very much, Dr. Doku. Dr. Dokun Adedeji is a primary health care practitioner joining us to discuss way forward for healthcare sector in Nigeria. And again, coming live at 9:45 p.m. on our primetime bulletin is Dr. Kaude Isa, Commissioner for Health, Commissioner for State, and talking about health there on our primetime bulletin at 9:45. And Dr. Doku also will be here tomorrow on our flagship program called Digest. Well, I'm moving away from that now. Oil marketers have assured Nigerians that the lingering fuel shortage across the country will soon be over. Executive Secretary of Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, Femi Olawore, made the assurance in Abuja after an extensive meeting between marketers and government officials led by the Minister of Finance, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. He admitted that the scarcity was caused by the refusal of marketers to load the product due to a non-payment of outstanding payments, but noted that now that funds have been released, fuel will be distributed nationwide.
You all recall that there were some issues about movement of products to the retail outlets. Following from the release of the last payment, 154.56, the owners of the trucks have agreed to allow their trucks to start loading. As we speak, they have been loading, and those of you that can contact your friends in Lagos, they will confirm that Lagos is getting better by the hour, and that because of the distance between Lagos and Abuja, the product mainly comes from Lagos. Because of the distance, it will take some time before Abuja gets to the normal position.
We really welcome the news that has been announced by the marketers, and we thank them and their discussions with the truck, those who move the product. On our own side, we are also we've discussed the issues they have on the table, and we are looking into them. Government is a continuum, and I think that you'll find that whatever the issues are, they will be resolved so that Nigerians will not suffer.
And now the Information Minister Patricia Kwashiki has commenced what looked like a farewell tour of parastatals in the ministry. The minister, who was appointed a cabinet member a few weeks ago, visited the headquarters of the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, and Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, on the first day of the 3-day tour. Our correspondent Basi Ayi has more from the familiarization tour.
With barely few days till the current administration comes to an end, it is expected that all officials should be dotting the T's and crossing the I's in their handover notes. But the Information Minister is embarking on a familiarization tour of parastatals in the ministry. Akwashiki insists that the effort is not misplaced, as she has work to do until May 29.
We are very appreciative of what you are doing here, and mine is to encourage you to continue to do well, to support government wherever you can, and to improve yourselves, to compete in the global information technology or era. Now we are going to go digital. It's very important for you to reposition yourself to take part in the coming digitalization.
The visit was an opportunity for these news agencies to showcase their facilities and seek more funds.
It will encourage us to continue to do our best for the country. We believe that Nigerians deserve a greater and better FRCN, and that's what we are working to achieve.
It's pertinent to note that NAN has been able to increase its productivity from 30,000 stories in 2013 to 40,090 stories in 2014. We have also produced 4,311 photographs in 2014 as against 3,000 photographs in 2013.
Although these visits may be coming at a time many may consider inappropriate, the heads of government establishments insist that it could not have come at a better time. Basia Ye, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And our medical workers under the umbrella of the allied health professionals with the Federal Medical Center Owerri have faulted the privatization of some sections of the facilities by management. The workers, whose intention is to stop the management from going further, took to the street in protest. A correspondent Ajibade Officer has more.
According to the allied workers, the proposed public-private partnership has made most of the services of the FMC very expensive, a situation where the patients or their families have to pay exorbitant bills is not the best for the people of Imo.
We all know that privatization is a policy the federal government came up with to improve efficiency, accountability, transparency, where need be. There are documents to this effect. And the truth remains that most of us are not convinced.
Having done with a meeting with some of the selected members who went into the government house to make known their grievances, the chief of staff to the governor responded to their agitations this way.
We will not hesitate to really look into them and also call on the management of the hospital where we see anomalies.
At the medical center, CoreTV News gathered from the management that the whole idea is still on deliberation, and the part the union claim has been privatized is just a test run of the whole process. The management said is to see how it will work, and when done, everyone will be consulted before the actual implementation.
The patients that should bear the testimony, not the union. So like the chairman said, if the patients through their response and patronage are bearing testimony that they are getting value for their money, then it means that we're being fair to the patients.
Whether the PPP comes to be or not, the number one thing on the list should be the masses' well-being to ensure they are not subjected to more difficulties. And in this instance, medical bills that are out of reach of the ordinary Imolite. Ajibade Awofeso, CoreTV News, Owerri.
The National Emergency Management Agency has presented relief materials to victims of fire incident that destroyed property in Mbodo community in Alo Ikwere local government area of Rivers State. The NEMA Zonal Coordinator South Benjamin Ogena presented the materials to the Rivers Minister of Special Duties in Port Harcourt. Ogena said the presentation of the materials was to complement state government's efforts in alleviating the sufferings of the community after the houses were destroyed by fire. He urged the community leaders to ensure equitable distribution of the items to the victims. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Special Duties, Ibani Babriggs Iti, who handed over the materials to the community leaders, urged them not to sell them, but distribute them equally to the victims. She called on the community to move on with life and get back on their feet to make up for their losses. In his speech, Okachi Odu, a youth leader, commended NEMA and pledged to distribute the materials evenly to the victims. And now, no fewer than 30 persons have been confirmed killed in a fresh attack by suspected Fulani herdsmen in 2 villages in Barikin-Ladi local government area of Plateau State. The killings was discovered on Monday in Vat and Zakupang villages of Forum District, where the Minister of Water Resources, Sarah Ochekwe, hails from. Among the dead was said to be a pastor identified as Luka Gwang, who was working with the Church of Christ of Nations. The Taro people of Langtan have condemned the attacks on their community that has left more than 39 people dead. They describe the attacks as conspiracy against the Taro people. Secretary General of Ngwan Ishi Otaro, Naleo Napon, described the act as genocide against the Taro people. Chairman of Barikin-Ladi local government area, Emmanuel Lomang, while confirming the killings to journalists in Jos, said the suspected Fulani attackers killed 17 people, including women, at a village in the early hours of Monday, while 13 others were killed at Zakupan village, all of Front district of Barikin-Ladi of the state. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has granted extradition order sought by the Attorney General of the Federation against former Managing Director of Nigeria's Security, Minting and Printing Company, Hidiamen Okoyeman. Okoyeman is wanted in the United Kingdom over his alleged role in the bribery scandal involving officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the NSMPC, and Security International of Australia. Justice Evo Chukwu ordered that Okoyeman be extradited within 30 days to the United Kingdom for the trial. In his judgment on an application filed by the Attorney General, Justice Chukwu held that there is a valid treaty between Nigeria and the UK to make him grant the request. Justice Chukwu also held that all legal procedures were properly followed by the Attorney General with the placement of certified true copy of letter of indictment of the accused as well as the extradition request for Britain. An inmate at the Central Prison in Benin has allegedly escaped from the headquarters of the Edo State Prison Service, the state capital. It was gathered that the inmate, in company with the prison guards, escaped while being taken to the prison headquarters for Monday morning assignment before he took to his heels. Eyewitnesses said the fleeing inmate was only shot before he escaped, running through the popular Benin moat at the back of the prison headquarters. He added that the prison official who had been mandated to guard the inmate while he was working hard to have gone to eat when the incident occurred. It was also learned that a search party had been organized to help arrest the fugitive as officials of the prison service frantically combed the Beni, Moat and adjoining streets for the inmate. Effort to reach the state controller of Benin prisons, Ifeoma Etowa, for official comments were unsuccessful. But a top official, on condition of not being identified, told journalists that the NPS had yet to receive an official report on the incident. It's still CoreTV News at 4. We'll take another break and I'll be back with more stories. Do join us again.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, our 24-hour news station.
And in sports now, FC Cologne have confirmed that striker Anthony Uja will move to Werder Bremen in summer on a 4-year contract. The financial details of the deal were not disclosed. A 24-year-old Uja has scored 10 goals in the Bundesliga this season and earned records to the Nigerian national team. He moved to Cologne from Mainz in 2013, where his contract was supposed to run to 2017. Bremen are looking to replace Davies Schalk with the Nigerian. A 20-year-old German will leave for Austrian side RB Leipzig at the end of the season. Bremen's sporting director Thomas Echin said they have watched him intensively and for a long time to get the whole picture of him. And he says he is a fast and a dangerous striker who can still develop there. While Cologne are replaced with 11th of the league, Bremen are 7th and are hunting for a place in the UEFA Europa League next season. And our defending champions Maria Sharapova continue her return to form as she swept past Colombia Mariana Marino at the Madrid Open. Sharapova, 28, had lost early in last 3 tournaments but beat the Queen Marino 6-1, 6-2 to reach the last 16. Czech force Zit Petra Vitova came through a testing encounter against American Coco van der Wege 6-4, 6-2, 6-3. Victoria Azarenka beat Ogla Tomjanovic 6-3, 6-3 to set up a third-round meeting with American top seed Serena Williams. Fourth-seeded Russian Sharapova broke Marino's severe 4 times while saving 3 break points on her own serve. In the men's event, 13-seed Gael Muffins, France served Victor Chiochi 6-2, 6-0, while Bulgarian 10th-seed Grigor Dimitrov led Donald Young 6-4, 3-0 before the American retired. German's Philip Kochulifo, who lost to Andy Murray in the delay Munich Open final on Monday, will play Colombian qualifier Alejandro Fala later on Tuesday. The winner will play 2nd-seed Murray on Wednesday. And now outside Nigeria now, Burundi's Constitutional Court says President Pierre Nkurunziza can run for a 3rd term in office. Under the country's constitution, President can only be elected to 2 terms in office, but it was argued that his 1st term does not count as he was appointed by Parliament. His 3rd term bid has led to more than a week of deadly protests, and the court decision comes after a vice president reportedly fled the country citing death threat. A report has it that most of the court judges, though the 3rd term bid was unconstitutional, but they were under pressure to change their minds. On Monday, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry urged Nkurunziza to abandon his re-election bid. The announcement on 25 April that Nkurunziza will run for a 3rd term in June's elections sparked a wave of protests as well as diplomatic criticism. The Red Cross says that 12 people have died during the demonstration, and clashes between police and protesters have also left dozens injured. But at the end of April, the AU Peace and Security Council called on Burundians to respect the Constitutional Court's decision. Whichever way it went, Nkurunziza, a former rebel leader, has been in power since 2005 when he was appointed by Parliament following a peace deal that ended a 12-year civil war. Islamic State has said that it was behind the attack on a Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest in the U.S. state of Texas. It said that 2 soldiers of the Caliphate carried out the attack at a conference center near Dallas. His Al-Bayan radio news bulletin said that the exhibition was for portraying negative pictures of the Prophet. Both suspects were shot dead after opening fire at the contest on Sunday. Reports say that it's believed to be first time that it has claimed to have carried out an attack in the U.S. Court documents have shown that one of the 2 gunmen shot dead had been a terror suspect. Elton Simpson had been under surveillance since 2006 and was convicted in 2010 for lying to FBI agents about plans to go to Somalia to engage in violent jihad or holy war, the Vice reveals. A judge found him guilty of making a false statement, and he was sentenced to 3 years probation and a $600 fine. The judge ruled that there was insufficient evidence that the false statement involved international terrorism. Well, and that's it. And CoreTV News at 4 minutes. Thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. I'll see you again.